So then we're kind of in week 4 of the project. We have a kind of commitment in Method Grid, which is if we're not working for clients and we're not the kind of professional service team, if we're not fully utilized, what we focus our time on is, well, what's the industry research project? And then we start working that with our kind of, in our non-utilized time. Fortunately, we're pretty much high utilization at the moment, but this is the kind of core focus for all the PS team within Method Grid. So I'm just going to take you through the kind of design guide that kind of is going to introduce you to the structure of the playbook, and then I'll show it to you. So the stages for RIBA playbook are pretty clear. And obviously we just take them out of the plan of work. So that was probably the easiest piece. For those that know RIBA really well, stage 7, like use, we don't think that's going to be a part of the project delivery playbook. What we might explore further down the line is maybe like the buildings manual playbook, like a different playbook that's used for asset management and maintenance in stage 7. But for now, we just wanted to use, can we provide the kind of clear guidance that guides teams through stage 0 to 6 in terms of project delivery? So far, the kind of core themes that we've built for the playbook are down the left-hand side. So I'll go through them sort of one way. There'll be client engagement. So if you're the client team, what are the kind of key client deliverables, like the strategic brief, the project brief? But what are the kind of key decisions as the client team, what you have to approve, what you have to kind of look at and assure that's happened? And it's also just giving clients that kind of, these are the kind of all the key activities and oversight of what you have across the life cycle. Business case, probably not called out much in the actual RIBA, but we find if you're building a business case for a deliverable, you will normally align it with, and we've just used the kind of government framework now, so outline business case, strategic case, outline business case, full business case. But when would we expect that degree of information to be available in the project lifecycle? Then trying to keep it simple for now, which is just saying, well, look, there are the kind of core enabling things within RIBA and what you just need in project delivery, which will be, what are all the deliverables that we need for project management? What are the deliverables for cost management, design management? Sustainability, we've decided to call that out, and we're going to do a talk hopefully with the APM in, I think it's June or July, their conference, about how organizations are introducing sustainability as now a core theme in your project delivery approach. I'll go through that. And there's kind of lands and consents. So what do we have to do for land, consent and planning? There's health and safety, and then procurement. And we think those are the core building blocks of the themes that are needed for the RIBA playbook. But again, just making sure that it's really clear for teams to understand, look, now really, can we start to map out what are all the deliverables, activities and controls that are needed as we go through and navigate through the end-to-end life cycle of the project. As obviously, I think we're pretty clear on most of them. Procurement is an interesting one for us because it's whether it's single or double, and it's kind of just working out, okay, well, what kind of flexibility do we need to build into the playbook that allows you to tailor it and right size it, given really the procurement strategy that you want to take for your particular project. And that's where, like I said before, in some cases, we want to build the playbook, but when you tailor it for each project, you're going to need to adjust it and right size it. And that's the kind of core concept of Method Grid is, I'm giving you 80% of what you need, but 20% you need to have a conversation and work out what is the best strategy and approach for the individual project and right size and tailor that playbook. That's, I'd say, if I was let's say I'm the intelligent client, that works for me because I can see the end-to-end, and now I can start working out who's responsible for what and being very clear and give me the confidence that I'm in control of the end-to-end life cycle. What we've learned though, and it's kind of key lesson learned for when we work with like the consulting professional services firms that support clients, is there's normally a stage that we introduce, which is kind of initiation and mobilization. And the reason we introduce this is the kind of conversation which we'll come on to, which is, well, actually, for my project, I'm not responsible for the end-to-end. I'm literally commissioned to do project and cost management for stages 2 and 3. So I'm not providing the kind of intelligent client solution, but I do need to be clear on what is the scope that we've signed up to in terms of what we've been commissioned to do, what is my contract state, and I want to be able to evidence that we've met that and communicate that to the client. So the kind of concept of you being able to tailor the playbook is we'll still build RIBA and all the stages so you have access to it. But then when it comes to cloning the playbook, you can then say, well, actually, okay, well, what have we actually been commissioned for? And this might be one example is where we're doing project and cost management throughout all the life cycle. But when it comes to an internal organization, the initiation and mobilization sort of steps help you set up that project internally. So these are all the steps and activities that we need to put in place before we can actually go onto the client site and start working for them. We need to make sure that the contract's signed, we've mobilized all the internal systems, timesheets, all of that can be set up and done. Now, the kind of reality I'd say is also the gift of the playbook is you can then say, well, look, I'm not interested in stage 0 or stage 1, 5 and 6. I'm only responsible for stages 2, 3 and 4. And this is the kind of concept that we get into with this type of working where you're the kind of contracted teams is the end-to-end lifecycle isn't great for me. I only really want to communicate to my team what we're commissioned to do and make sure that everyone's doing that consistently. But I want to be able to rapidly give them a tool that they can say, look, this is what commissioners do. Go and tailor and right size your playbook to represent the scope. And then essentially their playbook only shows them stages 2, 3 and 4, but it's really clear on what they need to do, how we're going to evidence what we deliver to clients, and how we're going to maintain our connection with the client. This is quite also useful, like I said before, is sometimes you can use the playbook with the client to say, by the way, we're commissioned for stage 2, but could you show us where everything in stage 1 is, and do you have it or don't you? No, you haven't done X, Y, and Z. Is that allowing you the opportunity to have a better conversation with the client, say, well, actually, you haven't done X in stage 1, and that's going to hurt us in stage 2 and in stage 3. So can we sort of adjust and change the scope of work so that we can cover those additional deliverables? Cool. Flowing through that. So what I'm going to do now is just give you a kind of introduction to the kind of work in progress that we're building. It's probably going to take us a couple of months to go through and get the playbook engineered ready so that we can say, I want to use Method Grid for RIBA. Can I have a look at this out of the box because we want to tailor and adjust it? And that's the kind of experience we want to deliver. So I'm just going to share my screen. I'll just share the platform. Cool. Hopefully you can see that. Yep, cool. So what we have is we've defined our playbook. So we've got the stages from left to right. So stage 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, all the way up to 6. And then I have the individual themes down the left-hand side. So we've got client and stakeholder engagement. We've got business case. We've got the deliverables that we need for project management, the deliverables that we need for cost management, design management, sustainability as its own key theme, lands and consents, health and safety, and procurement and contract management. So that's the kind of the core structure of the playbook. And what we're doing, because I think we must have built these elements, initiation and mobilization, we probably won't put much in there, just apart from explain what that stage is actually used for professional services firms. This will always be generic and bespoke to the kind of internal systems and controls they want to set up before they go on site or engage with client work. So that'll just always be blank, and we can then, as part of the implementation, we just basically sit and sort of work out, well, what are the kind of internal controls and things that we need to set up. Then where we think we can get most of this codified is we normally put guidance elements around all of the themes. So we'll explain what is stage 0, what's stage 1, what do we mean by client stakeholder engagement, what do we mean by business case, what do we mean by project management, and just giving people, well, this is what this theme is about, this is what its purpose is. So if we look at stage 0, which we'll follow the kind of, for those that have read it before, we have a white paper that sort of outlines the kind of standards for building world-class playbooks. But what we're trying to do is say, look, this is what it's for. These are the kind of key lessons that we've learned. We use video explainers to help people just understand information in a slightly different way. What's the objectives of each stage? And potentially we'll obviously connect it to other RIBA resources. So we'll add in the kind of plan of work and other resources that might help you understand more about stage 0. I think the RIBA checklists are done by stage. And then where possible, we'll also build kind of e-learning training resources that, okay, I want to know more about RIBA in a lot more detail because I need to understand it. And that's where we're starting to allow teams to access this information. So if you need to know specifically more information, then rather than trawling around trying to find it, what we're trying to do is make it at your fingertips in terms of, okay, I'm now pretty confident in what we need to do for RIBA. What we will do, and naturally, is with Method Grid, we're trying to build it as a white label solution. So when we build it for clients, it will be white labeled, it'll be their brand, it'll be their logo. So quickly that you kind of get a RIBA playbook out of the box. But again, it looks and feels like your brand, your logo, not Method Grid. So we're just designing it in a way that we can quickly change logos and brands. So it's a kind of white label solution for clients. So that's kind of the kind of concept that we'll explain, like what's the kind of things that you want to do in stage 1, 2, and 3, and be consistent across that. We're primarily using kind of RIBA language, and we'll try, and so we'll sort of define, what's the strategic brief, what would be the key activities that you need to do in terms of developing the strategic brief. Again, we'll build short video explainers. Again, we'll build this in a way that they can be quickly kind of rebranded, so they, instead of Method Grid logo, it'd be the kind of client logo. And again, as I'm sure if you're getting used to them, it's just we use AI video explainer avatars to sort of talk about the deliverable, why it's important. We'll explain the kind of key objectives. We'll leave tailoring guidance pretty much blank for now. Normally, if I'm doing a really big project and a small project, you can provide guidance on how this deliverable is tailored or right sized for different sort of levels of risk. There'll be kind of format composition. We'll build and develop some outline templates. Again, we just have an AI model that builds templates for us. Again, we'll keep those fairly generic in terms of branding so that they can be quickly kind of rebranded. Some people we speak to have got them all, and it's not, we don't want your templates, we've got them, we just want to make them accessible. But normally what's, like I said before, in terms of giving people confidence, there's a couple of best practice examples. Here's some hints and tips. Here's the quality criteria. I haven't quite tweaked the model yet to get this right, but this is the kind of outline quality responsibilities about who produces, reviews, and approves it. And here we've done this with a few clients now, and it's a bit clearer that there's kind of key activities that we want the teams to do. And here, this is what we're defining is, well, what are the kind of quality controls, sign off, and compliance that we want for the actual deliverables. We'll give them as a kind of generic starter point, but naturally each client will have their kind of own kind of delegated sort of levels of authority, who signs off, who's got authority to sign off what. But at least we've got the kind of placeholder there for us to be able to have that conversation and just adjust that as part of the playbook. There may be existing training resources that clients have, so we can just add those in there. We'll do the kind of input from and input to so that you can workflow it. And we won't fill in expert guidance. We'll leave that blank, but then it just allows you to then say, well, look, who are the people in the organization that are experts in either stage 1 or this particular deliverable? So so that if I've never done this before, and I'll probably add Ed for now, they're the kind of, add Alice, I'll be like, okay, well, look, they're the kind of two people in my firm that if you've never done this before, then you can go and have a conversation, and it's, you know, great, have a chat and say, look, Ed, I've never done this before. Have you got 10 minutes to walk me through exactly how I developed the strategic brief? I'll get rid of those because they'll get notified. Okay. So that's kind of what we're working through, is and being very much deliverable focused. So we're working through each of the themes and just working through the kind of stage 0 client engagement. What we think we'll do is take the RIBA job book and be very clear, look, at this stage, as an intelligent client, you should be able to do X, Y, and Z and have all of these checks and balances ticked off. So use that as a means of controlling that. We may build specific kind of RIBA based stage gates for the particular process, so that they're codified in stage gates rather than that kind of stage 2 client element. We're just working through the kind of design aspects of that at the moment. Other things that we're sort of doing as well, so yeah, we can look at risk registers, and obviously we'll build them out. What we've done for a few clients with a few examples is, yes, okay, this is the risk register, but you may then want to connect the playbook to different systems. So you can click and open here. I think it'll won't share on the screen, but you know, you connect to different systems that teams need to fill in, and it might be a different risk management system, or it might be a SharePoint list that you want to connect teams to, or if you want to go with the real basic, we can embed Microsoft Excel so they can interact with the risk register via the playbook as well, as a kind of an integrated way of working. So you don't have to go and find it and retrieve it. You can actually navigate and use that particular register directly through the playbook. So I'm just going to switch back. And then, yeah, like I said before, sustainability is becoming much more clear. So it's just really helping teams understand, as you go through that theme, what are all of the kind of key deliverables that we need to see at each stage. And again, you know, very simply, and kind of a lot of focus on it at the moment, is what's kind of key lessons learned, what is the sustainability theme, so just making sure that people understand what's awareness, what's kind of key objectives, and we probably think we'll build kind of an outline sort of training course for sustainability. And this is kind of key, a lot of drive, a lot of talk about it this year, is how do you help integrate sustainable ways of working and sustainable thinking into your project methodology. And it's just, we think at the moment, having a clear theme and treating it like your kind of standard theme that you'd expect to see, and being very clear what the deliverables are, what's the information, is predominantly the primary approach that we're going to take using playbooks to do that. So obviously we're still working it through in terms of the design, but this is what we're building out. So obviously you can see the kind of health and safety, your kind of pre-construction information, your F10, the health and safety file. It's just working through kind of all the deliverables. Probably got some work to do with procurement and just working out how best we structure the kind of procurement work scene to kind of work for the end client in terms of how they're going to procure the different services. Again, that one is definitely key and will need to be tailored and right-sized for each individual project. Once you've developed and defined the procurement strategy, you're then in a much better place to kind of shape and adjust the procurement approach that you want to take for the project in terms of design and construction.